Africa, the richest continent in natural resources, the youngest in population, and the oldest in human history. Yet, for centuries, it has remained divided, exploited, and weakened by borders it did not choose. But now, in the heart of West Africa, a new voice has risen. A voice that dares to say what many only dream about. That voice belongs to Captain Ibrahim Traore, leader of Burkina Faso, and his message is bold, simple, and revolutionary. Africa must unite, or Africa will perish. Imagine it. No more 54 fragile nations, no more begging the West for aid, no more artificial borders cutting through families and tribes. Instead, one Africa, one army, one currency, one destiny. This is not a fantasy. It is the dream of Pan-African giants like Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, and Muammar Gaddafi, and now, it is a rallying cry reborn in our generation. But can this dream truly happen? Could Africa really unite into one superpower? Or is it destined to remain just another speech drowned out by history? Today, on Easy Echo Africa, we take you on a journey through Ibrahim Traore's bold call for a United States of Africa, its roots, its challenges, and the unstoppable energy of the African people behind it. In 2022, the world was shocked when a young military officer barely in his 30s seized power in Burkina Faso. His name? Ibrahim Traore. Unlike other coup leaders, he was not seen as a power-hungry general. Instead, people called him the son of Sankara. Why? Because like the legendary Thomas Sankara, Traore was determined to fight corruption, free Burkina from foreign control, and defend his people against terrorism. When Traore appeared before the nation, wearing his simple military uniform and fiery eyes, something stirred in the hearts of Africans across the continent. Here was not just a soldier, but a revolutionary, a man who carried the unfinished mission of Sankara. And from the beginning, Traore made one thing clear. Burkina Faso would no longer bow to Paris, Washington, or anyone else. The time for begging was over. The time for dignity had begun. Traore's most powerful message was not just about Burkina Faso. It was about all of Africa. The idea of African unity is not new. In 1963, Ghana's first president Kwame Nkrumah stood before the leaders of newly independent nations and thundered, "We must unite now or perish." He envisioned one Africa, an Africa strong enough to defend itself, wealthy enough to control its own resources, and proud enough to shape its own destiny. Others carried the torch. Patrice Lumumba of Congo, who dreamed of independence before being assassinated. Thomas Sankara, who rejected foreign aid and inspired millions. Muammar Gaddafi, who pushed for one African currency backed by gold. But each of them was cut down. Their dreams were silenced by coups, assassinations, and foreign interference. Now, Ibrahim Traore has picked up the torch again. And this time, the continent is listening. So why does Traore insist on unity today? The answer is simple. Because divided, Africa will always remain weak. United, Africa will be unstoppable. Resources. Africa holds the world's largest reserves of gold, diamonds, oil, cobalt, and uranium. Yet much of it is stolen by foreign powers. United, Africa could control its resources and trade on its own terms. Population. By 2050, Africa will be home to over 2.5 billion people, mostly young. This is not just a workforce. It's a global powerhouse of innovation, culture, and energy. Security. Instead of 54 weak armies, Africa could build one strong defense force, capable of ending terrorism and preventing foreign invasions forever. Global power. At the United Nations, instead of 54 scattered votes, Africa could speak with one voice, shaping world politics like never before. As Traore himself said, "If we remain divided, we remain slaves. If we unite, we will be masters of our destiny." When Traore called for unity, the reactions were immediate. In Paris, London, and Washington, alarm bells rang. A united Africa would mean the end of cheap resource exploitation and the rise of a new superpower. Western media quickly painted Traore as radical, dangerous, and a dictator. In Moscow and Beijing, however, the response was different. Russia saw an ally against Western dominance, while China, already Africa's largest trade partner, understood that a strong Africa could be a valuable friend. But the most important reaction came from ordinary Africans. Across social media, the phrase United States of Africa exploded. Young people in Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, and the diaspora began sharing videos, songs, and art inspired by the vision. For the first time in decades, unity didn't feel like an old slogan. It felt alive. It felt possible. Of course, no dream comes without obstacles. And the road to African unity is full of them. Borders. Africa's borders were drawn by colonizers in 1884 at the Berlin Conference. They cut through tribes, families, and cultures. To erase them would challenge the very foundation of many African states. Leaders versus people. While the people may want unity, many African leaders fear losing power. A United States of Africa would mean presidents becoming governors, and some are not ready to give up their thrones. Foreign interference. History shows that any leader who pushes too hard for independence risks assassination or overthrow. Lumumba, Sankara, and Gaddafi are reminders of this brutal reality. Economic differences. Africa has both rich oil nations and poor landlocked states. Creating a common currency and economy will not be easy. But as Traore has said, difficult does not mean impossible. It means we must fight harder. If Africa can overcome these obstacles, the rewards are beyond imagination. One army, a continental defense force that protects Africa from terrorism and foreign domination. No country would dare exploit Africa again. One economy, with a single currency and free trade across borders, African businesses would grow, jobs would flourish, and the continent would industrialize. One voice. Imagine Africa negotiating with the United States, China, or Europe as one united power. The balance of global politics would change overnight. A cultural renaissance. From music to film, from art to literature, Africa's cultural influence would rise to dominate the globe on its own terms. This is the future Traore dares us to imagine. The greatest strength behind the call for unity is not in presidential palaces. It is in the hearts of the people. Young Africans already think beyond borders. They listen to Nigerian Afrobeats, South African Amapiano, Ghanaian highlife, and Kenyan gengetone. They cheer for African footballers no matter what country they're from. They dream of studying, working, and living across the continent without visas. They are already Pan-African. They are already united in spirit. What Traore is calling for is simply to turn that spirit into reality. So what is next? Can Africa truly unite? Perhaps the road will begin region by region. In West Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have already formed the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, a military and economic pact. Others may follow. Over time, these alliances could grow, merging into a continental union. It will not happen overnight. It may take decades, but every great journey begins with a single step. And as history shows, no empire, no colonizer, no superpower lasts forever. The question is not if Africa will rise, but when. As we close, let us remember this. The idea of a United States of Africa is not new. It is the dream of Nkrumah, Lumumba, Sankara, and Gaddafi. And now, it lives again in the bold voice of Ibrahim Traore. The world may laugh. Politicians may doubt. Foreign powers may fear. But the people of Africa, the youth, the workers, the dreamers, are ready. Because Africa's time is not tomorrow. Africa's time is now. And as Traore reminds us, if we remain divided, we remain weak. But if we unite, we will be the greatest power on earth. The question is, will you be part of that future? This is Easy Echo Africa. Stay awake, stay aware, and never stop dreaming of a united Africa.